What's up, nerds? Today is day 25 of my year-long challenge of posting an RC-related video every single day. So what's on the agenda for today? Well, we're going to review the Losi Mini T 2.0. Let's get started. This is the brush version, came brush stock. First category is looks, because looks are important, of course. It's got a modern stadium truck look to it, and I think it looks pretty cool. Not the coolest, but it looks cool. It doesn't look as cool as an old school stadium truck, but it's still a stadium truck. And stadium trucks are awesome. It's not perfect, but it's great. I also do have the Pro Line Baja Bug body for it, and I think it looks pretty awesome with that too. Yes, I do need to do a little bit more cleaning and some touch up, especially on those wheels. I got to repaint those tires. Sorry, the wheels. I got to repaint those wheels black. But I think it looks pretty awesome. It's a great looking car. And there's the stadium truck body. That's a J Concepts finisher body. And it looks pretty good as well. I just think it's a great looking. I love stadium trucks. I'm a big stadium truck fan. So I think it looks great. 4 out of 5 for the looks category. All right, the next category. Chassis and suspension. This is a mid-motor car and it's based off the 10 scale version. And overall, this chassis does handle pretty good. I mean, it's basically just a scaled down version of their 10 scale racer. So it is pretty good. Mid motors tend to not handle the greatest on the loose dirt, but this does okay. These tires are good. This is the Losi Mini Pin or whatever they're called. The Losi Pin tire. Those work great in the dirt and they last a really, really long time. In fact, the foams wear out before the tire themselves. So the foams are gone. They're basically disintegrated. I don't even know where they went, but the foams are gone. But it still works good. So these tires last a really long time. And the chassis overall is pretty good. Mid motors tend to not be that great in the dirt, but for some reason, this does handle pretty darn good. There is a little bit of issue with the rear hopping, but you can kind of tune that out with oil and springs and stuff. They do come with plastic bodied shocks. You can get aluminum ones. They're really, they're not that much of an upgrade, to be honest with you. I think it just adds weight, to be honest. They are threaded collar, so you can adjust your preload by rotating it, which is good. Overall, it's a pretty darn good chassis. And in my opinion, this is the most fun Mini. I have every single Mini that Losi makes. And I think this is the best one. For racing small track purposes. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. Chassis and suspension, 4 out of 5. The next category is going to be the electronics. Motor and ESC, all the electronics. There has been a couple issues with this. The first one is going to be the servo. In my opinion, there's no good servo made for these that I've discovered, but I also am cheap, so I don't buy the really expensive servos. But so far, the stock servo, it's not if it goes out, but when. And it's either something inside, the gears inside are going to strip, or it's just going to go completely dead on you. I've had both of those happen. So it's not if, it's when it happens. Stock servo is not very good. I've been using EcoPower 827s, and those are $15 a piece. They still wear out. So I have recently discovered a cheap Amazon servo called a Beffkip, B-E-F-F-K-I-P. I think it's MG90S. Amazon, that has the 20-tooth servo horn. Basically, it's a direct replacement, although I did have to cut in here where the posts are, which I did on one of my other videos. But so far, that's going to be my next go-to servo, because that's like 4 of them for $14, which is very, very cheap. This is just 1 for $15. So it's 4 of them for $15. And honestly, it seems just as good as the other servos. So the servos, not that great. Motors, the brush motor is just going to wear out. They have decent speed. They're not that fast. They're not that fast. But because it's brushed, running in the dirt, it's going to wear out. I've gone through quite a few of them. I mean, a lot, and they're not cheap. They're $17 each. I wish it was a better. I wish it was a better solution, because if you want to go to like a cheap hobby wing brushless, there's not much room in the Mini T. So you're gonna have to get creative. You're gonna have to mount it on the servo. You're gonna have to maybe make 3D print a top plate or something. But you're gonna have to get creative with putting a cheaper non 2-in-1 brushless system. Otherwise, you could get expensive 2-in-1. I think they're like $90 or something like that, and they're crazy overpowered in my opinion. So you need to be able to dial them down with the dual rate. I was racing stock Mini T class. You basically had to keep everything. You had to keep your motor stock. You could do kind of whatever else you wanted, but you had to keep your motor stock. So I kept buying these motors, and they don't last that long. They're gonna wear out. Other than that, the stock ESC receiver is fine. The stock radio is fine. It's cheap, it's small, but it gets the job done. It's got a little bit of adjustment to it. I did want to show what the stock radio looks like. This actually might be one I stole out of one of my pro boats, but it's the same. All the adjustments are digital, and it actually works pretty good. You can do dual rate, you can, and then do trim. So your dual rate is like, so as you turn, that adjusts your dual rate. So if you hold it over and click it, it'll do your dual rate. If you have 0 steering input, it does your trim. Same with the throttle. It's throttle trim, but if you have your finger on the throttle, that does your dual rate on there. So you could turn that up and down. Basic, cheap little radio, but I think they're pretty decent. One of the things I did was the foams come unglued, like they kind of just spin around, and it's really annoying. So I super glue the wheel to the foam in a couple spots, so that way the foam now doesn't turn. Because like what you would do before, you turn your wheel, the foam spins on the wheel, so you're kind of like your hand is turning while you keep going like this, So I did this to every single one of them. I super glued the wheel to the foam, and it works great after that. Decent, cheap little radio. I mean, it is cheap, it's small, but for a Mini, I think it's fine. Works good. So overall, for the electronics, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. I wish there was a solution. I wish you could find a cheaper motor that's just as good as these. I tried looking around. The servo is my biggest gripe. The motor is my second biggest gripe. Expensive to replace. Don't last that long. Servos, not that cheap, and they don't last that long. I wish you could get like a bunch of like $5 motors. That would be fine with me. At the rate that they wear out. If they were $5 each, cool. If they were $10 each, like the Traxxas Latrax motors, that would be good. But they're like almost $20, basically with tax. So, in my opinion, that's not very cheap. Stock electronics, I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. Now, the next category is gonna be durability, and I've got to say these things are pretty tough. Now, I am only using it. It is only brushed on a track. I don't drive it anywhere else. I just drive it on my little mini track. But I pretty much have not broken anything on this car here. Besides the servo wearing out. Oh, and I did finally just break the body mounts the other day. But I think that might be the fault of the clips that I use. I use bigger clips on this car, not the mini clips. I use like the Traxxas medium size or whatever clips, similar to that. And they've now broken at the post. This particular car has gotten the most use, and nothing has basically broken besides the servo. And wheel bearings, of course, those wear out. Yeah, that's another issue, is wheel bearings. You're going to go through wheel bearings quite a bit if you use these things. For some reason, I've gone through at least 4 sets of wheel bearings in this car. Maybe more. So wheel bearings, steering servos, you're going to go through. The rest of it's pretty darn durable. I haven't had an issue. Now, before I bought my Mini T, I had a Mini B, and I was using it kind of to bash around in the backyard at another property. And it was cement type. And I was actually like jumping the pool and stuff, jumping the pool cover, slamming into stuff. And I ended up breaking an arm. That was on a Mini B. And then I put an RPM arm on it, and I haven't had a problem since. But if you're going to do like standard stuff, race tracks, things like that, keep it brushed. I don't think you're going to break much. You will go through wheel bearings though, but I think that's just par for the course. For durability, 4 out of 5. Next category is value. Is it a good value? Are you getting a lot for your dollar? I believe the regular price on this is $150 for a brush version. And I think that's a pretty good value. That's a lot of fun you can have for $150. So they come with carpet tires. If you drive on dirt, you're going to have to buy at least a set of rear tires right away. That's 20 bucks. So now you're at $170. If you buy front tires, because these are ribbed tires, otherwise they come with like a carpet tire. So if you run dirt, you might want to run ribs. I found very minimal difference between the ribs and the regular carpet tires, but I think there is a little bit of a difference. So now you're at $40, so that's making it 190 bucks. At that, it's becoming less of a value. Then you start, going through motors and servos, the value goes down. Initially, it's quite a bit of fun for 150 bucks. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 as far as value goes. Now, there's a time where you can get these for $100. During Black Friday was one of them. If you could get one of these for 100 bucks, that's a steal. And that's a great value. But your standard price, $150, that's a 3 out of 5. And then, once you set it up for dirt and all your stuff starts breaking, the value goes down. All right, in conclusion, would I buy one of these again? The answer is yes, 1,000 times. At $150 a piece, definitely yes. When they drop to 100, buy as many as you can. Make a backyard track, have tons of fun. We actually have 3 of these Mini Ts. We have a Mini B, a Mini JRX2, and a Mini JRX-T, all for our mini track in the backyard. And it's tons of fun. It's some of the best fun you can have. So I definitely recommend it. I would buy one. I would buy them again. I would buy 100 of them. At 100 bucks each, they're worth. Buy a couple of them. Get yourself a bunch of cheap Amazon servos and go have fun. One thing I wanted to show. So stock, these come with hard case batteries that you have to unclip this. And I can't do clips that good. I'm not a clip guy. I don't like clips. So one of the batteries I recommend is the Urgent-X 1100 milliamp hour. This fits perfectly in here. Slides right in, and it doesn't slide out. So if you have your, once you put the body on, it keeps it in there. You plug it in, it just stays in. I recommend this battery. They're cheap on Amazon, like 2 for 20 bucks. I'll leave a link in the description for those. They do come with a Dean's plug, so you can either solder on EC2 plugs, which I used to do, but then I decided to convert my ESC to a Dean's plug. So I just soldered on that, and usually I was getting the ones with the wires attached, so I just soldered at the wire connection. But you can get the plugs and swap the plugs out. And what you can do is you can kind of pop this down a little bit so it's snug, like that. There we go. Now it's snug. It's not going to come out. It's trapped in there. So yeah, recommend that. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.